This is Marketing from the Front Lines, where we speak with B2B marketers who are in the trenches, bringing technology to market. Here's your host, Brett Stapper, CEO of Frontlines.io.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're speaking with Corey Washington, Senior Marketing Manager of Amenities Health. Corey, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing today?
Good, man. You're smiling. You're happy. I like it. I like the energy already.
Me all the time. For the most part.
Amazing. So how we'd like to begin these conversations is with the big question, why and how? How did you end up in this world of marketing?
Oh, man. It's a very interesting story, and I'll try to keep it brief. A long time ago, I really wanted to be a residential architect. That was my goal, was to be a residential architect. I would draw houses. I could literally look at a house and draw it dang near perfectly. I realized I hated math. I like math, but not like calculus or whatever. I just could not stand it. And so I decided to go a different route. I went with web design, and I thought that was really fun and creative. At the same time, while I was going to school, I was working at a company called Covance. So I was managing large clinical trials and really loved being in the world of pharmaceutical. And I thought that my path would be, I would be doing websites for our company, Covance, which is now LabCorp, at some particular time. I eventually realized while I was in school and while I was enjoying this creative aspect of web design, I wanted to do more. I was very creative, but I'm also very curious. I like the project management of things. I like the strategy. I like the solutioning. I like getting in the weeds of stuff. And so I decided I really wanted to get into marketing. And so I changed my major over to marketing. And at that time, I was thinking, how the heck am I going to start working for a marketing company or a MarTech company or whatnot? And I don't have that experience. And at the time, I was really enjoying my job at Covance. I was comfortable. I was safe. And I started to look for different projects that I can do within the company. I call that building the seat at the table, literally looking for things that I can do that would give me that exposure. I decided to actually do my own internship within the company to give me that exposure and did that well. And I decided, not as a joke, but I'm thinking there's no way in the world I'm going to get into this company. I decided to apply for a little company known as ExactTarget, which is now Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And I'm thinking there's no way in heck I'm going to get in here. There are so many people that apply to this company every day. They have the best culture. I don't know. And so lo and behold, I went through the interview process, got in, all because of the fact where they liked the fact that I put myself out there to get experience, to get into what I really want to do. Again, going back to that building the seat at the table, forging your own path, and allowing yourself to take risk, do things that are uncomfortable or new, and doing it with this type of tenacity and pride and like grit in a way to where that was really, really fascinating for them. And so I got into ExactTarget, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and was there as a project manager. And that was my first start in the world of marketing.
Where'd you get that insight from to build your own seat at the table? That's very
My parents.
Sounds like something parents would say.
My family. Our family is full of entrepreneurs. I have my own business on the side too, full of entrepreneurs. My dad was the first Black lieutenant and the first Black captain of Washington Township, which fire department, which is now has been way in the past brought into the Indianapolis Fire Department. So he really did a lot in regards to making his own path, things that did not seem obtainable. And he also was an entrepreneur. My mom was sick when I was younger. She had multiple sclerosis just before advanced medication was out there. And so he took care of her and me, worked full time, and had a part-time job, his own business at the same time. So that typical fireman schedule, work one day off two, work one day off two. And when he's supposed to be off, he was working as an entrepreneur. So I got that a lot from him.
So you had a lot of inspiration around you, it sounds like.
Oh, most definitely.
Now, we had your founder on the podcast a while back. The other show we have, Visionaries. Awesome episode. I think it's one of our top in healthcare. But a lot of the people listening in today, they probably aren't going to listen to that episode, or they haven't listened to that episode yet. Can you just give us a high-level overview of what Amenities does?
Yeah. Honestly, and I say this with pride as I talk about Amenities, because I really do think that we are a really freaking cool company. So I'll make it in a way that's really understandable. Amenities Health pretty much gives health systems a way to compete with the large retail concierge care clients like One Medical. And we do that by offering a premium turnkey concierge care memberships that's completely delivered under the health systems brand without the operational lift, without the added resources, without the heavy capital investments. And I think what makes us really unique is the fact that we are an end-to-end solution for this memberships platform. And our goal is to drive revenue for the health systems, drive in-network utilization, and build loyalty for that health system. We handle all the tech, the staffing, the marketing, all of it. And it's like this turnkey business unit that health systems have that makes us different. And again, all of this is delivered under their brand. And it's premium concierge care that really is addressing the core needs of a health systems market. And it's based off of data for their core market. So that's in a nutshell what we do here at Amenity Self.
I've probably spoken with, I would guess, 200 founders now, probably 30 marketers in the healthcare technology space. And as I told your founder when he was on the podcast, probably 2 years ago now, it's the best branding that I've seen from any other healthcare technology startup. And that's still true today, despite having many, many more conversations. So I encourage everyone that's listening in to go check out the website. It's awesome, though. The brand is incredible, and it's not common in healthcare. I feel like most healthcare technology sites I go to, they all look the exact same. They're very dry, very boring, very corporate, very sterile. Talk to us about the branding approach that you've taken.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, there's really cool things that are coming too. And so when I first came to Amenities, that's the one thing that really thrilled me about the company is our brand. And every time we go to a trade show or a conference, people love our brand. And for those who are probably listening, they're probably like, okay, what is it before they go to the site? It's a very campy theme. It's not too much like Salesforce. It's based around like this A-frame house in regards to the home. And it's so funny. We started off as a digital front door company, but also with the membership component. And then we decided to double down on our core why, core who we are. And that's the memberships piece. And the A-frame house is kind of meant to be that home because people are able to get that virtual care from home. They're able to access care better from home. In amenities, we think about like camping, there's different amenities, or even when you go traveling, there's different amenities that you have. From the camping perspective, that could be a watch or the compass, that could be a water pill, things like that. And so that's how the name Amenities came and had this campy theme to it, but it's supposed to be a very welcoming type of campy vibe. Matter of fact, we're in the process of refreshing the brand, but in a way toward we're kind of digging deeper into the essence of who we are with that. And so keeping that same logo, but finding ways to do more with it and really finding ways to make it more humanized and to really bring it into the story of the brand. And so we were very, very deliberate in from the beginning about how we chose our look and feel and making sure that it had a human-centered approach even to what we do.
I'm glad to hear you're not changing it. I was getting scared there.
Yeah.
You get better. Don't go close.
Okay.
Don't go sterile. I was going to say,
No.
it'd be devastating.
People love it.
What about it stood out to me, like, all these years later, I don't know if it was 1 year or 2 years ago. I know it's been a long time since I had him on, and like, it's always stood out to me. Whenever I talk with founders I know that are my friends who are trying to build in healthcare, I always send them your website. So it definitely it didn't get a mark. In terms of your general marketing philosophy, let's zoom out a little bit. How do you think about your marketing philosophy, your general marketing approach?
Well, I try to make sure that I take a very clear approach and I kind of tie it onto my own ways of creativity. It's kind of simple. It's really about speak the language of the people. I want to talk like a human. I want to prevent us from using as much jargon as possible that people don't understand. And nothing is more irritating is when you feel like when you're trying to get to know a brand and you're trying to translate, it's like you're translating hieroglyphics to understand what they do. We want to make sure that we're speaking the language of the people and we're speaking the language of our core audience. The next thing would be to walk in our customer's shoes. We want to walk the talk and talk the talk, right? And if it does not make sense to how people who use our services, use our product, if it doesn't make sense to them, I want to make sure I put myself in the shoes of a patient at all times. I want to make sure whenever I'm looking at our content, I'm looking at our collateral, I'm seeing it as a patient. I'm seeing it as a health system who is wanting to do good for their patients, expand access to care to their patients who are looking for a premium level of service that keeps them sticky, keeps them loyal with the health system, while also is generating that revenue that allows them to do more with their patients. But again, like I said, I'm looking at it as a patient. Will this be something that I would benefit from, would help me and my family? The next thing is I let the data guide me, but I don't forget that there's a human behind that keyboard. I want to make sure that we take a data-guided approach to our content, to our emails, our general marketing in all essence, but also when it comes to the look and feel and even interactive experiences and things like that. How will the person at the end resonate to that interactive experience, to that video, to that content. And there's three more things I have in mind. The next thing is, and some people will not like me because of this. Well, I think most marketers will. And I call it make it beautiful and believable. I used to work someplace one day. I was there very short because I just can't. But their philosophy was, it's okay. We need to just focus on the message and getting the leads, but we don't care about what it looks like. That drives me crazy. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that our marketing, like I said, is humanized. I want to make sure it's something that it tells a wonderful visual story that draws people in, that they can relate to, that makes it feel as if people feel as if we care about what we present. We care about quality, the quality of everything that we do, from our messaging, from our storyline, from that relevance, but also to the creative that we use to tell that visual story, all in lines. And it's probably because I like fashion too. So I think there's a tie there. Next two things really quickly is don't overcomplicate it, keep it simple. Also, AI. I love AI. I love it, but it's not the superhero. We are. Marketers are. And I probably like to say that. I think that there is this thing to where in the marketers hear this a lot where, oh, I did this with ChatGPT. Oh, I just whatever. But I think marketers that sometimes they feel as if, oh, that's taking my job. That's doing X, Y, and Z. I'm fearful of that. No, because there's so many times where we have to call AI out on its BS. AI is there to take my brain dump and structure it in a way to where I can take it and do something with. AI is there to where I can have it do some research for me, come back to me, but I'm giving it very human guided steps and prompts of what I want it to do. I'm using it as my employee to where I can refine my workflows so I can take it to the next level myself. So those are the kind of the philosophies that I have that has helped me throughout my career and that continues to be kind of like my guiding light throughout my career.
This show is brought to you by Frontlines Media, a podcast production studio that helps B2B founders launch, manage, and grow their own podcast. Now, if you're a founder, you may be thinking, I don't have time to host a podcast. I've got a company to build. Well, that's exactly what we built our service to do. You show up and host, and we handle literally everything else. To set up a call to discuss launching your own podcast, visit frontlines.io/podcast. Now, back to today's episode. I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff there. One thing you said that really stands out to me, because I've been saying it to companies a lot lately, like as a marketer, whenever I have a bad experience, I like to tell the company, here's why it was bad, blah, 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 kind of try to give them feedback. I don't know if it goes anywhere, but I always do that. But forgetting that fact that there's humans on the other end, I feel like so many brands forget that and they just end up viewing data. The example that I have, a recent one is, I don't know if you order groceries on Amazon, but that's where we get all of our groceries. You have to go through 5 steps there at the end in order to fully check out, because it's, oh, you forgot this, you want that, blah, blah, blah. All of the time, I think that I've checked out and I didn't, then I find out I have to go back and order the actual groceries. And to me, that's an example of I'm sure the data is great, right? I'm sure the numbers show that, the cart value increases, blah, blah, blah. The data is probably great, but I'm here mad telling you about this. I don't know if people are annoyed by this. That's what so many brands seem to forget is there are humans at the other end of this stuff. And these that look good in an Excel sheet or in a spreadsheet, we're still annoyed. And there's a lot of negative that comes from annoying a customer.
Yes, it is. And especially when it comes to the use of AI. And again, I see AI as my brainstorm buddy. It literally is my brainstorm buddy. It helps me shape those raw ideas. It makes me make sense of the brain dumps. It helps me move faster. But that's the thing, it's just a tool.
Yeah.
The strategy, the emotion, the empathy, all that is 100% human-led. And it's very, very important to make sure that, and I even tell young marketers, oh my goodness, I've reached that age. Oh my goodness. But I always tell marketers, don't let it do your job for you, because you have to know your market and you have to know your company, you have to know your product, because it's very good at saying things that is untrue. It'll slip things by you because it's a really good, smooth talker, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to be, and there's times I'll go in there and I'm using it, I'll say, no, that's not right. But it'll actually apologize. So I feel bad. I don't want to come off like a jerk when I'm talking to it. I talk to it I try to be empathetic.
Yes. In case, right?
But yeah.
Take over. I want
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Thank yous.
Yes. Remember me? I was nice.
The example I have is the other day I published an article and I wrote it with AI, or the assistance of AI, I should say. It still took me 2 hours, right? It's I didn't just put in a topic, it spit out an article. It was more of a collaboration, but normally it probably takes me 5 to 7 hours to write an article. It took me 2.
Yes.
That's great. Yes. I think that's the way to think about it. It's your partner. What'd you call it? Your buddy?
It's my buddy.
Your
It's
buddy.
my brainstorm buddy.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, the brainstorm buddy. Like, I think that's the right mindset with AI. I think if you have this mindset that you're going to just like give a topic, it's going to write an article, you can just copy and paste it, people can tell.
Yes.
Then in there, it's like a lot of those AI images, you look at it and you're like, wow, that looks so real. But then you start to look and you're like, there's like 6 toes, or like, this is spelled wrong. Like, you start to see these things. I think the same thing happens with like written content. You start to actually read it and you're like, wait, it like the words are right, but it's like wrong somehow. I think when you start to really get into it.
Yes. And even you read these things, you're like, do I actually say that?
Yeah.
Why are there so many M dashes here? Like, why do I mean, it's like there's ways you can tell, but the goal is to make it authentic, make it real, make it feel something. So it's a hard balance.
I hate all of this talk around the M dashes because I actually do. I don't know why. I picked this up 10 years ago. I write with those. Like, I use those a lot. And now I'm seeing all this stuff on LinkedIn where they're like, if you want to know if someo's writing with AI, blah, 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 just look for the M dash. I'm like, no, I've been using them forever. Like, no, well, you know, I've been using it. What about tools? So when it comes to like AI tools, are you mostly just using like the general purpose stuff like OpenAI or ChatGPT? Or are there any like marketing specific tools that you're experimenting with?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm a huge nerd. It's a little ridiculous. And so my main one that I use is ChatGPT. I pay for that one every month. And also I dabble into Gemini as well as Midjourney and things like that. But I use them very differently and for different reasons. For example, ChatGPT is what I use the most. Whenever I want that heavy research, I put it on that research mode.
Yeah.
And I basically give it the type of audience I'm looking to do the research for. I'm looking for specific times of events. I'm looking for specific media outlets. I'm looking for very specific things in order to make sure that I'm getting the most relevant articles as possible. And then I'll switch over. I'll even use different models in order to make sure that I can refine in a different way. And I don't use all my credits for the higher one. But I understand how to use some of the models in different ways. With Gemini, that's when I'm trying to see if I can get more of a natural tone to different things. And again, not for it to write something for me, but when I want something that's kind of like, just give it to me like real. Explain this to me in a very real, non-BS way. And very, I want it to feel a little bit more human in the response so I can take it and I don't have to do probably as much editing. I will have to do editing, but probably not as much. But honestly, I'm noticing that as these models evolve, both of them are starting to get pretty good at kind of the same things. I think there's some things that ChatGPT does better than Gemini, some things that Gemini does better than ChatGPT. Midjourney, I use very sparingly because when it comes to photos, especially human photos, I still like the real photos. I like to catch real people in the moment in my marketing collateral. Mm-hmm. I like to see people that you can tell they are people of today. And I stress that a lot in even our collateral. And I think we do a great job at that as a company to make sure that the imagery that we use are people's in places, in situations of today. They're a diverse audience because our buyers, our patients, our communities are diverse. And so I think that is one area where I don't use AI that much.
Did Midjourney get any better yet, or is it still on like Discord? Because I played around with it like maybe a year or two ago, and the user experience was, I don't know, maybe I'm just not a Discord person, but I did not understand what was going on.
I don't blame you. I couldn't stand it on Discord because I really wanted it to work in an actual UI UX experience that feels like a software that can go in. It just looks different. Like I didn't want to use a chat type of look and feel whenever I'm working with images. But I still in Discord, but there is a web version where you can do things too. I haven't used it enough to really kind of get a good feel of it in terms of how it's different. I have used it a few times, but I think they are starting to move into more of that, like a web-based format.
I feel like they have to. The chat thing was just weird. I think for maybe like the demographic or persona they were after, like it makes sense. It just felt like I was too old to be using it. It was my takeaway. Yes. Discord.
Exactly. I didn't like that.
This show is brought to you by the Global Talent Co., a marketing leader's best friend in these times of budget cuts and efficient growth. We help marketing leaders find, hire, vet, and manage amazing marketing talent for 50 to 70% less than their U.S. and European counterparts. To book a free consultation, visit globaltalent.co.
On your side, just from a marketing and growth side, what else are you doing to grow right now? Obviously, brand is very important to you. What else is moving the needle?
What we found is really helpful for us. I mean, for what amenities does requires some education. It's a hard pivot, and not harder than a bad thing, but I'm just saying it's a sharp pivot from where we were before. And we're not the digital front door lead in anymore. We're the memberships, the concierge care memberships lead in. And so this requires, in a fun way, getting health systems to think differently and to really kind of rethink the model of success when it comes to revenue and loyalty. And so what I found, and not just myself, but what we found as a company, myself, Awesome, our CEO, and Scott Heatherly, our VP of Sales and Partnerships, is leaning in to Awesome as the CEO of the company, as the face of the company and a lot of the marketing. Awesome, and Awesome is a really good speaker. He has a tremendous track record at success from Baylor Scott and White. Everything he's been able to accomplish even up until now, the why of forming Amenities Health based on the successes he's had before. Scott Heatherly, our VP of Sales and Partnerships, has come from a tremendous background working in healthcare and scaling health tech companies in that way. And so we have a really, really, really good team of people that are good speakers, but we really want to lean into Awesome's story and lean into our CEO when it comes to videos, write-ups, things like that in our content. So you're going to see a lot more of that from us this year. We've already kind of started that. But also, we're going to start showcasing a lot of our own people, sticking my neck out there more. Also, even our head of product is going to be up soon and our head of design. So we have a lot of really good players at Amenities Health that are passionate about this new direction and the things that we can do for both health systems and patients. And so we're going to be leaning on to our people in regards to our marketing and also video and more captivating, engaging content.
Is that all part of like a thought leadership strategy? Is that an employee evangelism strategy? Like, where does that sit? Is that a specific program or is that all just marketing? Just think about that as marketing.
It is part of a thought leadership strategy that's tied into marketing. It's not only thought leadership, but actually you mentioned something that's very important to think about too in terms of the evangelism of marketing inside out. Mm-hmm. And so again, we have a lot of great people at our company. We have brilliant minds that work at our company that are very passionate about this and being able to leverage them as a way to show their voice. If you look at some of Awesome's posts on LinkedIn, our own teams are starting to comment on Awesome's posts and to give our own interpretation, give our own added color to it. And so this is a wider strategy that is not just thought leadership, but it's also building our demand for our brand by highlighting our people and really getting people to understand the value of these turnkey, white label concierge care memberships that are easy for health systems to implement in order to get that revenue and also build loyal patients.
I think so many brands are moving that direction, and I think that's the right direction. I think there's just a lot of different sayings. Like one is like, people don't buy from companies, they buy from people. I think that's very, very true. When I think about just my own habits on LinkedIn, very rarely do I ever follow a company, but I do follow a lot of people. They'll have an interesting post. I want to keep up with them. I'll follow them, but I can't think of any companies that I actually follow, but I follow a lot of people. And I think a lot of others are very similar as well.
Yes.
What about things you're not doing? So is there anything that you were previously doing from a marketing perspective that you said, nope, we're done. It's not effective. It's a waste of money?
Yeah. So before we were really playing around a lot with all kinds of different ads. We're still going to be doing paid advertising, but we're being a little bit more intentional about the paid advertising that we're doing in our channels. We were doing a mixture of Google ads, both for targeting and also paid search, as well as LinkedIn. The paid search didn't work all that well for me. It requires a little bit more of a budget than a startup of our size can do. And what's interesting, even though we're a startup, the dynamic things that we're doing is insane. And honestly, is it something that's affordable for us? Yeah, but we weren't getting the bang for our buck. I think that we really want to take a hard pivot to say, okay, where do our people live and where could they be going at some point? And what type of channels will allow us to really be able to utilize the new types of content that we're going to be venturing off to? And so going over into LinkedIn, possibly even YouTube, using Google, but for more retargeting, but also diving more deeply into LinkedIn. But also events. Our team does an amazing job when they're in front of people. Amazing job. I think that, and this is not uncommon for a lot of B2B companies like us. There's some companies I know they don't do any advertising, just go to a lot of events. They just do better at events. Which is the reason why, even from a goals perspective, I mean, when it comes to close one for marketing, I mean, as long as we can get people to get that sales meetings, I have no doubt in my mind our team can move people down the pipe because we have such a great product, great solution, and it's almost a no-brainer at that point. And so when it comes to the paid advertising, it's really about focusing on LinkedIn and also Google retargeting.
What about advice? So I'm seeing that we're almost up on time. So we're going to end here with one final question. We always like to leave with some advice. So imagine you're speaking to a younger version of yourself. You know, you're maybe, let's say, mid-20s, you're just starting your marketing career, early in your marketing career. What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, two things. It's okay to make mistakes. The best marketers make mistakes. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable trying something new and falling on your face a few times, but getting up quickly. Fail fast is what I like to call it. Fail fast. And that is okay. You know you're learning then. The second thing is do not be a one-trick pony marketer. It is highly important to be able to understand and know how to do a variety of different things. Does not mean to be perfect at every single thing. But for me, I love the technical aspect of marketing. I love the creation of it. I can do many different things, but I love that piece. And I think that that really makes you a valuable marketer, being able to be this Swiss Army knife, like my team likes to call it, being able to be comfortable with many different forms of marketing. And if you don't know it, being comfortable to say, you know what, I want to learn it. I think those are two things I think are very, very important for up and coming marketers.
Amazing. I love it. That's a great place to end. This has been an awesome conversation. I've learned a ton. I know the audience.
Great.
Before we do wrap, if there's anyone listening in that just wants to follow along with you and your journey, where should we send them?
Yeah, most definitely. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Corey Allen Washington is my LinkedIn address or the handle. You can also follow us on identitieshealth.com, follow us on the Amenities Health website. And so definitely reach out. I love answering questions people may have, especially when it comes to how to look like a larger business when you're smaller, leveraging technology. So more than happy to help.
Amazing. Love it. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
This episode of Category Visionaries is brought to you by Frontlines Media, Silicon Valley's leading podcast production studio. If you're a B2B founder looking for help launching and growing your own podcast, visit frontlines.io/podcast. And for the latest episode, search for Category Visionaries on your podcast platform of choice. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.